if you're passionate about something and you've got a really good idea and you can spot a market and there's going to be a market for it, then do it. If I could give advice to Jay's younger self, I'd say...
Of course he'd want to give advice to me. Of course he would.
Welcome back to the NatWest Business Show. I'm your host, Angellica Bell, and this week we are joined by another dynamic duo that have taken the meal prep industry by storm. Simmy and Jhai founded Simmer Eats, which provides perfectly portioned, ready-to-heat and eat halal dishes. Now, their ingenuity, both at uni and during Jhai's stint in youth football, saw them capitalise on a gap they saw in the market. And since then, they have gone from strength to strength, signing up some of the best footballing talent in the UK and reaching distribution at a national level. If food is your thing or you're looking to start a business from your home, listen up. And it's great to have them here, Simmy and Jhai.
Thank you very much for us.
Not at all. Now, before we get into your story, I want to ask you to share a business confession. Okay? You've got to be honest. So it could be a moment of failure that became a springboard for success, or just a mistake or a bit of a blunder that was a bit of a masterstroke. Tell me your confession.
I think the main one is that we don't actually, we're 6.5 years in. We've never had a business plan. So we seem to be going all right.
Are you winging it?
Well, I think everyone is really.
Yeah, hands up.
That's exactly like that. That is the main thing for us, that like we've never had a business plan, but it's kind of been a blessing in disguise in a way. I think had we started with a business plan, we probably wouldn't have made it for the first couple of years. As we've gone forward, we probably need one by now.
But then you would say that you had a business idea.
Yes, definitely an idea.
So you had a seed.
Mm-hmm. Yes.
And so you're saying the seed is just enough for you guys, and it's worked for you.
Yes. Like we've changed direction so many times. We started off as just like selling single meals as like a healthy takeaway to students. Mm-hmm. Then to like family and friends. We were probably like 3 years in before we even launched nationwide delivery, and now everything's nationwide delivery. Mm-hmm. So yeah, the business model has changed a lot. We've rebranded, so lots of things have changed along the way.
Okay, so that seed grew and you just went stepping stones. Okay, so let's hear about this story, because it's a good one. How did Simmer Eats start?
So when I was playing football growing up, I would often get given diets by the clubs. They were basically just bland and boring. So then I would take it home and be like, Mum, how can you actually make this so I want to eat it?
So we're not going to name and shame any clubs right now.
No, we went, to be honest, all of them. I think all clubs are like that though, aren't they? Whereas like, there's a perception that healthy eating has to be boring. Eat this is fuel. So with Mum's help, we kind of came up with recipes or tweaked those recipes to actually make them taste good. So we did that. Obviously, I was just eating those meals at home, but because obviously I live with Simmy, Mum and Dad, Mum couldn't cook different things for them. So we were all eating the diet of a aspiring footballer, which was good, I think. And it's continued anyway. So it's good regardless. And then, from then I would take my food into the clubs. Other players would see it. They'd be like, could I try some of that? And then Mum would just make extra and I would take them in and just give them to some of the guys. And then I think it just kind of like snowballed from there where like, some people were like, can I buy them from you and stuff like that. And then I guess kind of just carried on doing that naturally, not thinking about, it's going to be a business or anything like that. And then Simmy went and took it one step further when he went to university. So I'll let him explain that.
I did some work experience in a bank before, and I was just like, everyone's spending lots of money on food here, and they want to be healthy. And I was just like, I could make something like 3 times as tasty for like a third of the price. But I thought, I'm not going to be able to do this because I'm just a kid. Like, they're not going to really buy off me. I need to set up a proper business, all this kind of stuff. But then when I went to university, I was like, hang on a minute, I can actually start this here, because at university, like, anyone will try anything. No one, like, everyone's young, everyone's a student. So that's when I tested recipes and I was like, I'm actually going to start properly now and really commit to making it something.
So you started testing recipes in your student digs, just
I actually, over Christmas, when I studied for my exams, came home and I was like, I'm going to start this. And when I started it, I wanted to do it properly. So in Christmas 2016, tested the recipes. And I was like, okay, cool. This is the recipe I'm going to take back, finish my exams. And then I made the social media page to start advertising it, and then posted, and then started speaking to my friends and everyone else, and was like, would you want to buy some of this? And it just started from there. And then it just really pushed on. And that's when it started like selling meals.
Then what happened?
And then...
let's not cut this short. I'm here for you. Like, I'm being drawn in.
Yeah. So from that point, so that was January 2017, and I made this page and I called it Rice and Spice, because I was just like, I'll just make it. And I remember I was sitting in one of my flatmates' kitchens and we just went into word art and just got like the most like the most basic like clip art. It was so bad. The branding.
Are you both involved in this at this stage?
No, he sold it uni at the start.
Okay,
yeah.
He hasn't
brought you
he
in.
hasn't convinced me
Okay,
yet.
yeah.
This is why I always say I'm the sole founder, and I actually changed my first employee.
No.
So I started marketing it through Facebook, and at university, everyone's on Facebook. So I made it a person, not a page, and started adding everyone. But I was completely anonymous at that point in time. It was just this person called Rice and Spice, and whenever I delivered to someone, I would get them to like take a photo with their meal and come up with like some silly kind of witty caption or something just silly, because that's what everyone at university likes. And then when I tagged them, it would, because it wasn't a page, it was a person, it would get so much more reach, and all their friends would see it, like their family would see it. So everyone's like, oh, what is this person up to? And it would get really good engagement. And then
So that's clever marketing as well.
Yeah.
A bit of a,
A little hack.
strategy.
Yeah. But that was when like
Are you gonna say that people would just order so they can get the photo and
Yeah.
get posted? So
Yeah,
like they
yeah.
didn't really even care about the food at points.
I would get on the bus to go into uni, and then like I'd be sitting behind two random people I didn't know were there, like, oh, did you see so and so on the page last night? Oh, it's pretty jokes and stuff like that. So it just became like a bit of a buzz thing. And then
So you're on the bus
Yeah.
going to uni, and you're hearing people in front of you going, "That's it, that Rice and
Rice and Spice at the
Rice
time.
and Spice."
Yeah.
Yeah. Did you get your picture?
Yeah. So
I mean, that's pretty cool.
yeah, that was cool. I think the thing that then really pushed it further was the student newspaper did like an article on it, and that was like the expose. But like obviously I did it and wanted to like do it because I thought it would be like a good story. And that's the first time people really knew that it was me. And they were like, oh, that's really cool. Like that he's doing this. And then afterwards, everyone would just be like, random people would be like, oh yeah, I love what you're doing and all this kind of stuff. And it was just like a really buzz thing for first year of uni. And then a couple of months in, I gave Jay a call and I was like, this is going so well. I'm loving it. It's so fun. You should start at home with mum. And he was just like, nah. Just like, yeah, typical Jay. And then I was just like, okay, do you know what? I'm going to start it anyway. So I started advertising saying, oh, we also deliver in Hitchin now. And if the orders came through, I'd take them, call mum, say, can you cook and deliver it? Obviously, I was cooking and delivering in Bristol. Mum was doing it in Hitchin, and I just knew that Jay would have to.
You had no choice. You're not going to let your mum do all the cooking.
Yeah.
And it was your idea in the first place.
So after a few months, Jay got involved, and then during the summer, I finished university, or had my summer off. So I basically just made it my own kind of internship, where I was just working on the business. It was really fun. We started marketing on Instagram and not just Facebook. Developed different recipes, different dishes.
And was that with the help with your mum?
Yes.
Yeah.
So that was all local, and it's just fun. It was just like, again, because we never had a business plan, and we were all working for free, we'd buy the ingredients, sell them for a bit more, reinvest the money. We were saving up from it, and it was going pretty well.
So it became a talking point.
Yeah, 100%. Yeah. So that was summer 2017. And then 2018, I went back to university for my second year. But my whole market in first year was pretty much my campus. And I was just like, it was a bit isolated. So I tried to pivot and deliver to like kind of societies and cater for them. Or we actually tried meal prep. And that's where we changed from like takeaways to meal prep or packages. And it's just because one day someone back home in Hitchin was like, I'm going to order from you every day. So can I just get 5 meals for the week? And then we were like, that instead of £5 order value, that's going to be £25. It's so much more efficient. Like, this is just what we want to do. And then it got to the point where we're stopping the takeaways, just meal prep. And I think the big thing was like, I then decided to take a year off university. And at that point, I actually did, again, we hadn't never had a plan, but my goal for that year was, by the time I'm going to take a year off, I want to make it a business that doesn't rely on me. And initially I said, because I was wanting to go into these corporate paths, I was saying to Jay and Mum, I want to build this business so that you guys can have it and I can then go and do whatever corporate job. And then for Jay, alongside football or after football, and for Mum, she can work on that. And that was the goal, really, to make it like not a huge business, just like
something to support your family.
Yeah, like a good small business, basically. And that was the only goal for that year. And also, I don't have the stress of doing it anymore whilst doing university and internships.
Yeah. Wow. And then here you are now.
Yeah.
It's a really fascinating story, and it's also interesting what was driving it. Because obviously it was fun.
Yeah.
Food must have been quite central in your lives growing up. You know what taste and flavour is, and people buy into that and you want to feed other people, and also it's that community thing.
Yeah.
And then you want to provide for your family. So maybe unwittingly there was a plan. Do you know what I mean? Without being a plan.
Mm-hmm.
What is also an angle we should look at is this space, because food is really competitive, but you've held your own. What do you put this down to?
I'd say like for us, we're flavour first. And like the example I would give is like, Saturday nights you have your cheap meal, you have your little takeaway and stuff like that. We've just got to the point now where we've stopped getting takeaways, and like our Saturday night cheat meal is like simmer, but with like a bigger portion, an extra like simmer brownies, and might get a bit of ice cream in there. But like we genuinely just love the food, and it's just so like we're flavour first because that's what we care about. And like we take our favourite dishes from everywhere, and we're just like, we're so lucky that we've got all of these chefs who can now like turn whatever we want into actual dishes.
Yeah.
So yeah, I think it's the flavour, the authenticity of the food, and that's I think why like people prefer us.
But then obviously this flavour and love of food has been with you since you were young.
Yeah. I think that's I guess with any business or any product, if you have a good product, other people are going to tell other people about it, and you can have the best marketing in the world. But if the product doesn't taste good or isn't like satisfying people, making them talk about it to other people, you're not going to grow. And I think that's how we managed to grow, especially without spending any money on ads. It was just like for the first 4 or 5 years, just friends telling friends. And as well, it's great with food, where it's like you could take your food into your place of work, heat it up at lunchtime, and that's doing the marketing for you. The smell. You know what I mean? Yeah.
Is it something your mum taught you? Cooking?
Definitely, yeah. And that's the thing, because like for us, like when you grow up and you don't have like lots of things, or like it's just like food is something that everyone has. Everyone can relate to food. Everyone has to eat, right? And it's just like, it's such a shame that something that you do 3 times a day, like people don't enjoy it. I just think it's crazy that some people don't enjoy their food. And obviously that's the case for a lot of people. So we just thought like these are moments that like we can bring like joy and happiness and satisfaction to people's days.
Yeah.
And I always say that like if we're delivering to customers, like shipping products across the country, you're never going to get a 10 out of 10 meal. You're never going to get a 9 out of 10 meal unless you start charging £50 a meal and start hand delivering it. But if you can make every single meal 8 out of 10, you're doing really well. But there's no point doing like half your meals 9 out of 10, half of them, or like a couple of them, even if one meal in your package out of 10, they're all 10s, but like one is like a 4, you've lost that customer. So I think the thing about it being consistent is really important.
Yeah, I think at the start as well, because obviously the margins are very low. Like Simmy mentioned earlier, we basically work for like £2 an hour. And because it wasn't our main thing, whereas like if it's someone's main thing, they've got the mortgage to pay, the bills to pay, then they probably would have just given up. But because for us, we just saw it as a bit of fun, something extra to do in the weekends or the evenings.
Yeah.
I think that helped.
I think the other thing also is that we were so lean as well. We had so little overheads, and we were like obsessive about like not taking on over extra overheads. So now that we're like almost 7 years in and we're turning over millions a year, we're like, okay, now we can afford to hire this like award-winning chef on a salary. We can just like not even think about it, like, yes, another chef, bring them in, like pay them like a great salary. But before we were like, oh, like we only hire like, I think like 4 years in, before we quit our jobs to go full-time on the business, we didn't have any staff. Everyone was a contractor because it was flexible for us and it worked for them. So we're just super lean. If we didn't have any sales, we could dial things down.
Yeah.
Only when we got the unit and we had to pay rent and fit it out, that's when we started having a bit more cost. But even that, we ran things very, very lean. I think obviously I'd say this, but on the marketing side, I think it's excellent. That's what I do. But like a lot of businesses spend a load of money on marketing to acquire customers. But for the first, we got to over £1 million in revenue with like no marketing spend. So we're just like very scrappy, like the example of the Facebook thing, just lots of things like that. And because we do everything, even now, we do so much ourselves where like, I don't think a lot of other businesses, they were like, oh, I just want to delegate this, hire someone for that. You're not going to get the same quality as when you're doing it yourself. That's probably one of our biggest weaknesses, that we do so much ourselves and probably should delegate more. But it's a balancing act.
Well, then on the flip side, you could say that's why you're doing so well. Yeah, so, you know, but also marketing is an interesting one because it's so reliant on it. And some people feel the pressure to pay for marketing. Is it just having an eye?
I think it's also like a commitment to just learning and researching and like just not thinking that you know better. So like when we started with Facebook, right? Then Instagram was the thing. And then TikTok was a thing. But when TikTok launched, like I didn't use it for like a year or maybe 2 years. I think it launched in like 2019, 2020. Like we only started posting on it properly like earlier on this year. And now it's like a big focus for us. But it's just like, I could have been like, I'm not going to do that. It's for young people, etc. But like, I was like, no, we need to learn like who are the people who are killing it. And like, I now speak to like two of the people I probably gain most from when it comes to like TikTok content are like 19 and 20. And I see them as like, I want to learn from you. And it's just like, it's not thinking like, or being too proud or thinking, someone's young, they don't know better.
Yeah.
So I think always learning, always adapting to new things that are changing. But also, I think because I'm like the target audience. I'm like, I want healthy food that tastes good. And I also don't have enough time to cook. So I guess I really understand like the pain points as well.
And if there's anyone listening that isn't enjoying their food, do you know where to go? simreats.com.
Yeah.
DM us on Instagram, we'll sort you out a discount as well.
Or if there's people who are enjoying their food and want more food to enjoy.
Yeah.
Well, do you fancy a bit of a breather?
I'm
I'm
going.
good, yeah.
You're right on it, isn't it? Well, I'm going to give you a bit of time now because we're going to do trending takes, okay? Now, I've got some contentious statements based on talking points our team have found online. And I wanted you to just give your opinion on it. Not that I think you'll be afraid to do that. Sound good?
Simmy might want to...
No, Jay, I'm counting on you to slay some more.
Yeah, I'm glad this isn't live.
Yeah, exactly. So this is trending take 1. When it comes to entrepreneurship, you either have it or you don't.
I think it's not entrepreneurship, it's a mindset. So it's just general, like, can you work hard? Can you like dig your heels in? People can learn, but typically you've got that mindset from young. So you know if you've got like...
I think you can learn it, but it just comes with a bit of experience as well. But I think there has to be something there at the start to actually want to go and do it.
Okay, in business, there's no such thing as a new idea.
I agree. Like 99%.
No, there is obviously that small 0.0001% of new, but like
Mainly,
virtually,
yeah. I'd say like, there's some innovative like tech businesses who have like patents, and they're going to be unicorns if they pay off. But like 99% of businesses are just solving an existing problem better in some way.
Yeah.
Okay, trending take 3. A family business has more to lose.
Yes, I would say that most family businesses won't work, and I just think we're a weird, unique family.
Why would you say that?
Because like I've seen lots of like people who like me and Jay are like best friends.
I imagine, I don't see any other brothers or people with siblings have as good a relationship as me and Simmy. Like lots of our friends will always comment on it and say, like, it's not strange, but it's like, it's unique. And I think coupled with the fact that obviously mum and dad just trust us.
Yeah.
Like, as I mentioned, I think earlier on, our parents have never earned more than like 25k a year in their whole career. And then obviously after a couple of years, we managed to save 50,000 through doing obviously rice and spice at the start. And they were like, they didn't have any issues, or like there was never a single word of like, don't invest all the money into thing. Whereas like other parents would be like, no, I'm taking it. You're not doing that.
Yeah. Or they're like, you. For example, I actually dropped out of uni before I started the business, and then I took another year at university. Like most people's parents would be like, you're not doing that. Like, I actually just recently hired an intern who's really great, hardworking, and he's like, I want to do what you've done. I want to be like an entrepreneur. I want to focus on content. But he was just like, his dad's very traditional, and he's just like, you're not doing this. You're finishing your degree. So basically, he's working part-time with us. But like, if that was me, I'd have probably dropped out, and because our parents allow us to do that. But come back to the question. It's meant to be a hot take, and but
I didn't say rapid fire though.
Yeah,
yeah, it's not.
And also the reason that family business have more to lose is because if it doesn't work out, people start pointing fingers. Like the dynamic at home will be awful. Christmases will be awful. All these kind of things. Whereas just us, it's just like it's always going to be fine, kind of thing.
Okay. Well, there you have it. Thank you so much for your comments. And if you're watching this podcast on YouTube, get involved in the comments, as we'd love to know what you think of those trending takes. Okay, well, let's talk about funding, because a lot of businesses, they need investment to get off the ground. Was that the case for you?
The business, Simmer as a business, has basically benefited for 4 or 5 years for like hundreds of thousands worth of free labour from us. Mm-hmm. And that's why there was money left in the business pretty much. So that's probably like helped out quite a lot. Us just working for free.
Is that one of the hurdles you faced so far? You think, oh goodness, that was a tough time.
Investing in the first unit, that was really tough. I feel like obviously people talk a lot about kind of mental health and stuff like that, but I feel like when you're like, depending depressed, you're thinking about things in the past and like worrying about things as much. And obviously simplification, and anxiety is more when you're looking forward. And I feel like because I'm always looking forward, I'll get anxious quite a lot. But then I'm just like, I just turn that into like action. So when things happen, I don't worry about them, but I'm always thinking about the next thing. When we do things, I feel like we've invested here. Let's now push and like, what can we do now? Like we can control what we can control, and just can we keep on pushing? So like that was a big thing initially. So investing into the thing.
Yeah.
Hurdles, the rebrand. For me personally, the rebrand. Like obviously because I'm on the brand and marketing side, the rebrand and hiring has always been really difficult, and being reliant on me on that side. And I think Jay, more operations. Like how do we send out? How do we? So like what I basically say is like I get all these orders. Like there you go, Jay. Now you need to.
Okay, well let's break it down. So hiring, is it we wanted to get the quality?
Yeah.
Is it,
I think the hurdle with one of the main hurdles is like for the first 2 to 3, maybe 4 years, it was just me, Simmy and Mum. Whereas like when we then start taking on people, that is a hurdle because they don't care as much as you, and no one's ever going to care as much as you. But like coming to terms with that at the start, I'm paying you, like do it how I would do it. Otherwise I'll just get someone else. There is like very few people that will care as much as you, and there are some people now that work for us that do, which we're obviously very lucky to have, and I think we have a really good team now. But definitely at the start, it's like we were kids ourselves. We're hiring people who are older than us. So there's always that kind of aspect to it as well.
And that's, to be honest, like I feel the same way, but that's
so
why...
it's more about accountability.
Yeah.
You say if you're getting paid to do something, give it 100%.
The reason why we've done so well is because we're quite unique in that we're young and we're like likable because we're young and energetic, and like there's Gen Z elements of like the way we market, and we involve mum, and we're just kind of like, we don't follow things that are traditional in terms of, oh, well, just because it's done like that, it doesn't mean it needs to be done like that, and try to challenge like the social norms and stuff like that. And I think that's why people want from entrepreneurs and expect. But I think the reason behind the scenes that people don't really pick up on and why we've done so well is because we are quite old fashioned with like our work ethic. And I think it's good that Jay is a lot more suited to the operations, and because like kitchens are quite like football. Like it's a harsh environment.
Yeah,
it's tough.
It's full on.
And that's why, maybe Jay's not as suited to the remote office world.
But that's nothing wrong with that. These are strengths and weaknesses,
yeah.
and your family.
Yeah.
So you will know each other inside out. And some people, we've had people on the podcast say they wouldn't work with their family.
Yeah.
But in this case, it seems to have a synergy. So what tip would you give to anyone wanting to hire people that will, care about a business that they haven't founded as much as the founder?
What I was going to say is when you find out, let me know.
Oh, no. I think the phrase hire slow, fire fast is quite common, but it's actually very true. Whereas like you can tell in the first couple of weeks when someone's there if they're going to be up to what you want. And I think it is very important not to just hire the first person that comes along. You just got to kind of take your time in hiring, go through the process, be quite diligent with it. Because I've had to hire a lot of people over the past however many years, I think I'm just like, I don't want to say I'm very good at it, but like I'm a lot better than I was. So just like repetition and going through that process. So I do feel like the more you do it and the more you expose yourself to it, the better you become, pretty much with everything.
I think that obviously having worked in like bigger corporates and like being exposed to other startups and other people running startups, I think what we do poorly with hiring is because me and Jay have always just like been so involved, we're just like, we can't stop like doing what we do on a weekly basis to then be like, here's like a better onboarding system, here's better like systems in the business so they understand straight away. So that's something that we lack. But then what we do really well is that if you join a business and you can see like the founders, like Jay being like on the kitchen floor, getting his hands dirty, like being there all the time, like you wouldn't get that in another business. And the same way with me, like I'll be like, there's not a like task or job in the business that I haven't done, like from the cooking to clean to bins and the marketing, like writing emails and every single thing, we've done it. And I think when people come on board, they appreciate that.
What about the difficulties with dealing with fresh food?
Oh.
I thought you'd like that one.
Yeah, that's what yeah.
My advice to anyone going into food or trying to go into food is probably don't do it. And that's like, it is a bit out there, but I genuinely believe there are probably other businesses that will be a lot easier. Unless you have a crazy passion for it, then obviously go for it. But if you're a bit like, it'll be nice, I'm not sure.
If you're
right, back this up.
Yeah.
No.
If you're starting, sometimes I need to
Reining him in.
I sometimes do.
He just laid that down. I was like, whoa, okay.
I think like if you're starting, why a lot of people start a business is to eventually have freedom, have flexibility, do something that is really fulfilling and enjoyable, and to make money and to be better off running their own business than they are in a job. If you're doing that and you're trying to optimize and think logically or rationally, you wouldn't start a food business because the margins are tight and they're always going to there are more challenges. You start a business in a sector that's probably like more likely to have that payoff if you're thinking completely rationally. But if you're passionate about something and you've got a really good idea and you can spot a market and there's going to be a market for it, then sure, do it. That's what I would say. And
that's what I was going to say. He just said it a bit better.
He didn't give you a chance.
Yeah. I think also like we're really lucky because the product we really believe in, that we're really passionate about, working with family, doing something that's just like I like marketing this product. I'm not sure if Jay likes operating the model, but I just think it is like the perfect business for us.
But you're glad you did it, Jay?
No, definitely. Like, there's literally, yeah. Obviously, I have lots of friends now who are still playing football professionally, maybe like League 2, League 1, even the Championship. Some in the Prem, but I always feel like whenever I speak with them, they're not completely like satisfied with what they're doing. They get paid obviously very well doing a job or something they enjoy doing. But I think the enjoyment's now gone for lots of them. So it's just like, I could have gone down that same path, had to retire at 35, and then what do you do after that?
Yeah.
Because although some of them may be earning good money, it's not enough to retire at 35.
Because the truth is, and we've heard it time and time again, that being a professional footballer is difficult, and being in that world can be demoralising, especially if you don't reach your goals or you play for the team you want. Do you think that unforgiving environment, Jay, helped you prepare for the world of business?
Yeah, I think it's a very harsh environment. I don't think there's much else that you could be like more competitive, because I feel like just like everyone wants to be there, but like 0.01% can do it. So there's like obviously a lot of knockbacks. It's probably one of the only careers I can think of where fans pay money to go and watch you, and they can swear at you, they can say whatever they want to you, and it's just accepted. So like if you can go through that and you can be fine with that, which obviously I was, like, to be honest, I quite enjoyed it.
Did it spur you on?
Yeah. I like the fact that people can just say what they want.
I want to talk about one of the keystones of your business who isn't here.
The third co-founder.
Yeah, we always say Mum's the third co-founder. And to be fair, we should have brought her along. It'd have been fun.
Yeah, I would. I thought I was going to meet her.
Yeah.
Mum.
Yeah.
We miss you.
To be honest, she's always just like she would have been like, oh, why didn't you invite me? Just
tell her I wanted her that it was you two.
I will do. Yeah, it's Jay. Throw him under the bus. Yes, Mum.
So let's talk about her and how she's helped you along the way.
Yeah, like if it wasn't for Mum, like the business wouldn't be here. And I know people are thinking, oh, she's saying it to be nice and stuff like that. But like, because, and again, I'll say this about me and Jay, like our skills, like we don't have any, obviously we have skills, but like there's nothing like that we're like unbelievably talented in, I wouldn't say, but it's just that we have a good attitude and mindset. And I think Mum's got a really good attitude and mindset as well.
So you got that from her?
Yeah, I think so, yeah. Yeah, I'd definitely say like the elements.
And dad as well.
Yeah.
Mum and dad.
Yeah, I think they've got a good attitude and mindset. But I don't know if I can say this, but like I feel like without sounding like, yeah, I'm coming across in the wrong way, but I feel like I always like, we have a really weird dynamic in our family where like I'm the one in charge, even though I'm the youngest. So like I'll be like to Mum and Dad, okay, we need to do this, we need to be better and stuff like this. And like it's just a weird dynamic, but it really works, and they like really respect me, and it's really nice. And the same thing with Jay, where I'm just crack the whip with him sometimes. But like, and this is when we come back to that like odd environment. I wouldn't do that in front of other people really, but it's just like at home we'd be like, okay, we need to be better, all this kind of stuff.
But you're all got the same objective.
Yes.
But I think also love.
Yeah. Yeah, and trust. I think trust is a really big thing where like no one like, it's really weird, but like no one knows what the goal of the business is. Even the people working in the business, even me, Jay and Mum, no one knows. But I think there's just this element of like, well, it's gone well so far. Everyone's happy. Like, I don't think anyone's like, oh, are we going to get paid next month? Or like, is the business going to be around? Like, everyone's just got confidence and belief that it's going to go well. And I guess I'm just like, obviously I'm thinking about these things all the time, but I'm not just like, here's where we're going. I'm just like, this are the targets for this week, this month, this year. And I think everyone's just got that belief and in the business, in the brand, in the team, that it's going to go well. And yeah, I'm confident that it will do.
Now, one of the most beautiful aspects of your story is that you want your mum to retire. When is that going to happen? What, you know, or is she just so ingrained in the business now? She's like, you know what? I'm with you, boys.
Yeah. So it's actually happened already. So there was a period. I don't actually know the date. I think it was a couple of years ago
It
now.
was 2019. So I think mum turned 49.
Yeah. And I think when we started the business, it was always with the intention of having, because mum, again, I won't name the supermarket, but she basically just worked in a supermarket her whole life and had done so since like, I can remember.
Yeah.
And we wanted her to have a job that she enjoyed doing. And Simmy jokingly said one day, I probably won't be able to find you a job that you enjoy doing, so I'll just start my own business and you can work for that. But this was like years before we started the business. Obviously, the business has grown and grown.
Yeah. It wasn't actually that long.
Yeah.
It was like, I remember seeing it was 2014, 15. So actually like 2 or 3 years.
Yeah.
Where like mum's like super content, like really happy, like one of the most happy people, and like doesn't like want for anything really. And you know what? She just loved like spending time with us, working on the business, having these new challenges. It's so exciting with her. And we've got to the point where like, you don't need to work at the supermarket anymore. You can hand in your notice. You never need to like work for anyone else again. And then she was still working for the business for a little while. And then it just got to the point where like, I said to her like a couple of years ago, before I even quit my job, like you don't need to work anymore. Like you can spend your time doing whatever. And you're like, you're retired. And she was like, oh, okay. And she was like,
She just wants to always do stuff though. So
Yeah.
it's just like, even if she's not required, it doesn't need to be like in the kitchen doing stuff. Like she'll find her way there.
Yeah.
She'll come in, do stuff, speak to the people, bring people drinks. When it was hot the other day, bring people ice creams from the shop. Just kind of these like mum things.
Yeah.
So now she's gone from having 2 kids. So she's got like 20 kids at the unit now.
Yeah, she always like when we sit on the sofa watching stuff, like we're watching YouTube on the sofa, and like because we serve like some pretty like big YouTubers, and she'll be like, do we serve him? Do we serve her? And she'll be like, let's send them out me. So I was like, Mum, it's not that easy, kind of thing. But yeah, and also like she'll see stuff online, or like she'll see like the street interview content I do. She's like, when am I going to come and do that as well? And yeah, it's just she basically picks and chooses what she does now. So
Well, next time,
bring her on.
Yeah.
she's gonna come. So behind every good set of sons
Yeah.
is a fantastic mum and dad.
Yeah.
Anything you'd have done differently? Anything better?
I always say that whenever people say this, any regrets, I always say like no. Like I try not to regret things and
Fine,
think
we'll
about
move
the
on.
future. But I would say the one thing that I would say is like no specific. We should have invested in this thing or that thing. It's just doing things sooner. Because like let's say TikTok for example. Well, why don't we start a year earlier? Like I only regret not doing things sooner. Or investing in a great piece of equipment that we've done now, or in certain chefs. Okay, we couldn't have done it from the beginning. Obviously, we have to have the money to do that, but definitely sooner. You can always do things like 6 months earlier, 12 months earlier, 3 months earlier. Yes, I would just say doing things sooner, being even more proactive.
Do you know what I quite like as well is that you are very self-facing. You think, actually, this is, there's things that we're good at, things we're not, and we could have done this. You're very open about that, which will help you in the long run, I think.
Yeah.
Now, if you could give some advice to your younger selves, what would that be?
If I could give advice to Jay's younger self, I'd say,
of course he'd want to give advice to me. Of course he would. You're going to like my advice to me.
Go on, you go first.
I think for the first couple of years of the business, although I obviously did trust what he was saying and doing, I would just be reluctant to do it because it was him. Whereas if someone else told me to do it, I'd probably just do it. So I think my advice to my younger self would probably listen to him and accept it a bit earlier, which he's not saying.
That was going to be my advice to you yourself, to listen to me earlier.
Should we do, well, you mentioned it. Rapid fire. Are you ready?
But not so rapid fire. Go on.
Who is your business inspiration?
I would say that I don't really have a specific one, and it'll be like our future selves. So like
He's stolen my answer. Me in 5 years. It's mine
Yeah.
Okay.
because I don't really have an inspiration.
yours is actually mine.
No.
It's me now.
No.
So it's me now.
Right, this is rapid.
Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. What do you most enjoy about owning and running your business?
Just autonomy. To do things that you think make sense, not to be lazy, but to do things that make sense.
One thing nobody's talking about in business that they should be.
Profitability. I guess they have more recently, but like not just raising lots of money. A sustainable business.
Favorite business hack?
I think time blocking to get more done.
One tip on how you stay motivated during tough times or setbacks.
Just remembering that we started with nothing really.
Yeah.
And it's like where we are is a blessing. Like it's a great position to be in. Like, yeah,
Yeah.
Where can people follow you online to know more about you and your businesses?
I'll let them do that.
Yeah, at simmer.eats on Instagram and TikTok, and then Simmy Dhillon on LinkedIn, and Simmy Dhillon _ on Instagram. And,
we'll just put them up. We'll just put them up. Make it easier. Yeah. Listen, guys, thank you so much for taking time to talk with us today and telling us about your story and just how it's grown from nothing with no business plan.
Yeah.
And thanks to you guys for listening, especially those looking to kickstart their first adventure. Now, if you still haven't hit follow and subscribe, please do so you can stay in the loop with the latest episodes. And if today's episode with Simmer Eats has got you thinking about going into business, well, NatWest have you covered with tools and information on their website to help you take those next steps.